Unlike anything else on radio today, it's a front row seat for great information with today's leading experts. The Millionaire Maker, Hillary Kramer.
And let me just check real quick, because I'm a sucker for this. You know that I always like to check the commodities. Gold has been on a run since last Wednesday that I don't think anybody's been paying attention to. It was 1676 last Wednesday. It's 1771 as we sit here tonight. So it's made about $100 an ounce for those of you that have some metals in your portfolio. That's a pretty good adjustment to the portfolio, Hillary. If you've got a few ounces of actual bullion sitting in your portfolio, that's a good gain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's about time, because a lot of the gold bugs out there have really been struggling because there was this erroneous belief that investing in gold was the exact same thing as investing in cryptocurrency. Now, who came up with that brilliant idea?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But let me ask you about this, because someone asked me off the cuff today. They said, Kev, what's going on with commodities? And I said, it's interesting that you asked me that, because Hillary just got contacted by, of all things, a rare earth minerals company. You were telling me about Recharge last week, and it looks like the opportunity in what we would consider mineral or commodities or earth-based substances. These things are actually quite in demand, and in fact, you may get to go see that up close here before too long.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to go out there in about 2 weeks, because I really am interested in the rare minerals, as well as the lithiums and the ingredients that go into the electric vehicles. I also want to know, where do we really stand with EV going forward as well? On a whole other question is autonomous driving. Where do we stand there? Because I've been talking for 2 weeks straight about Mobileye, MBLY, which is the semiconductors for autonomous or assisted driving, which is different, of course, than electric vehicles. But they do go hand in hand, because the concept is you have electric vehicles, they're autonomous, all of that. So there's a lot of questions out there. And one of the biggest ones of all is, do we have enough electricity, Kevin, in order to keep all these cars on the road? Do we really have the ability? I think that's something that...
Well, that is something that has not been part of the discussion, as Washington has kind of shaken their bony forefinger at us and said, you need to be driving electric vehicles. Well, okay, but I live in a pretty, advanced town. I don't know of a single service station that has charging capability in the town that I live in. And we've got, 6,000 families in our school district. So it's like, maybe there's some people that have them at home and they have, they're plugged in for that. But it's not like they're just everywhere. And what do you do, Hillary, if you're doing a cross-country trip in one of these EVs and you get 300 miles out and there's no electrical charging station in the middle of
that's the whole problem. You have to
Illinois
plan your
or somewhere.
entire trip around that.
Yeah.
That's the major issue out there. It really is. And
they say 300 miles per charge, but what if they underestimated your battery and one time you only get 280 miles and that gas station was 292 away? Like, this could be real problems. That's why I think hybrid vehicles beat EVs, at least in the short term, because if you have dual technology, at least you've got a self-generating backup. It's there.
Right. That's absolutely right. But then it leads us to a bigger question, which is, if Tesla implodes, if Elon Musk can no longer continue, he is, as far as I'm concerned, we think that he's going to survive forever. Elon Musk has a lot of pressure on him right now. A lot of pressure. This is when things happen to people, right? He's got SpaceX. He wants to, with the purpose of settling Mars. He has Tesla to transform the auto industry. He's got loops and hoops and tunnels, that are going to be hurled forward by hydrogen, most of which have gone under. And now he has Twitter, which Elon Musk has said has too much debt on it. And he sold $4 billion of Tesla stock. And how much stock has he, and how much Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Tether has he sold in order to pay for the cost, of Twitter? When we think someone has a lot of money, it's not really always liquid money.
Yeah.
It's caught up. So there are a lot of issues right now going on in the market, and it's a very tenuous time. I want to believe that we've already hit the bottom and we're going to come back because inflation seems to be under control somewhat, even though, of course, it doesn't include, the important
gas and
things
groceries.
like yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I think that the stock market is ready to. I think the stock market is ready to rally, and it's going to be a stock pickers market. But even with yields, rising, like Treasury yields, I think there's opportunity for some companies I haven't even talked with anyone about. One of which I just have to throw out there is Unilever. How many times have I mentioned Unilever? I don't think once.
Not recently. I think about a year ago you mentioned them, not long after we had started the show.
Maybe that's right. UL and UN. It's a Dutch and British company that has Ben and Jerry's and Dove and Lifebuoy and Hellmann's Mayonnaise and Knorr and all sorts of brands that some of which we don't know much about. They actually have seventh generation. I didn't know that they did seventh generation. I thought seventh generation was a Whole Foods product. And they have a lot of the cleaning equipment, the cleaners like we might use, All or Fantastic, but, they have all sorts of Sif and Axe. Oh, and they have Axe, AXE, which is really interesting concept that we don't really have in this country for men. We used to have Old Spice that was very popular, but Axe would be take Old Spice and make it for 20-somethings and teens, and that's what Axe is. So it's
huge in Europe.
I like this British Dutch combination that gets out there, and they have Vaseline. You can't beat that. So anyway, and they know what they're doing, Vegetarian Butcher. So I just wanted to bring up the fact that I'm really starting to spread my wings and look for new companies and new ideas and new businesses that have really been knocked down, but that have an opportunity. One of the themes that we need to cover one of these days, and not because we necessarily believe in it, but because it's real, because it's here, and because large institutions require it, and that's ESG. Okay, ESG, environmental, socially responsible, and governance. Those three things are really important. And there are some companies that are considered the standards for ESG, one of my favorite companies you all know is Microsoft. Microsoft is a steward of all three and liked by all three. So I think that we're going to see the stock of Microsoft do well.
I asked John today, I said, well, what if the Fed tries to regulate it? He goes, good luck. They don't even understand it. How do you regulate something that you don't understand? He said, this currency, like all currencies, is worth what someone is willing to pay for it, and that's where the exchange comes in. If you have somebody that says, similar to the stocks, well, this is worth this and that's worth that, then you've got an agreement about what will be paid and received from it. Isn't it working the same way? I'm being the devil's advocate here.
Yes, that's exactly right. It is working the same way as that. And we have to realize that this is so complicated. It is so much more insidious. And that's why every day more and more information is coming out about what cryptocurrency really means. And your point is the most important point probably of the evening, which is that it has impacted elections. It has impacted so many more people than we ever dreamed possible. And let me add, these thousands of people who are being let go of Amazon announced today, the 10,000 that were announced for Facebook, Meta, right? the 75% of the employees of Twitter who are being let go, and there's countless more that are going to be, on the chopping block. A lot of them had their money in crypto, and they were fooling around in crypto, and they're going to start selling their crypto, and they're not going to have the money they thought they had, and then they're going to sell their traditional investments, and that's where it gets bad. That's when it gets really bad. You sell your crypto, you don't get much for it, so you sell your S&P 500 index. That's what we all have to be very mindful and await down the road.
So right now, Hillary loves Mobileye. We all love Mobileye. This is how cars will see MBLY. I also love company ACDC. It's the ticker symbol. ProFrac. They do fracking, which is technically dirty energy, but they use all electric powered rigs, so they're not actually burning gas to pump the gas. They're just burning battery juice. So it's a little greener, a little more friendly to the environment, but at the end of the day, they're making energy and they're making money. We love ACDC.
Well, and in this environment, Hillary, energy has done well. I'm looking at Vista Oil today. I bought them at $8.30, I think, a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago. They're at $14.50 as of today's close. And this is where the oil companies have been. VIST. That's my pick for tonight. And I also, you got me hooked on Ford months ago, and they are so out of the doghouse now. I mean, they're back up in the $14 range per share. They're a great buy under 30, but the symbol F would still be in my book as somebody to take a look at. What's your first pick tonight, Hillary?
I have to say Goldman Sachs, even though it's up almost
good old
$100.
GS.
It's up almost $100 from where we started talking about it only 6 weeks ago. And it's 382. It was $290. But there's a lot more upside left to Goldman Sachs because I'm not just talking about, it's not the 2.6% dividend yield. Okay. It's not the fact that it's the most stellar balance sheet in the world, or even the fact that it's the smartest people on all of Wall Street. It's that Goldman Sachs has access. Anyone who's closest to the money, closest to the opportunities, are the ones who are going to win. And I suppose if we do go back to that balance sheet and having the capital, well, I take that back. There is something very important about that. These are companies that are in a position to buy, like Goldman Sachs, to buy up big positions in stocks, to buy up companies, and to wait it out. Part of the problem that we're seeing now with crypto, for example, is that not all crypto companies are bad. Some crypto companies are great, but it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't have enough money to make it through to when you become, a positive net income on the bottom line.
Right.
So I would just want everyone to know that if you really want to be safe, the 52-week high of Goldman Sachs is $412 at 382. We're still off that 52-week high, and you have a chance to be jumping into a company that's going to benefit when all of this is over and past.